All right, final one here in the AFC South is the Tennessee Titans. Brian Callahan in his first year as the Titans head coach didn't too hot with the 3-14 record, the number one overall pick in the NFL draft. They're moving on from Will Levis, who's still in Tennessee, but Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback, who was probably the best quarterback in college football last year, he was the number one overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. He's the brand new starter for Tennessee right now. They'll need him because last year Tennessee had the second worst offensive grade in the NFL, third worst in offensive EPA per play, even though the defense was at least solid, right? You see right there, 19th best defensive grade, so at least around an average defense in 2024, but they need their new number one overall pick quarterback to come in and change the culture of that offense right now in Tennessee. We gave the Titans an A for their draft, had a really good draft, and a C- for free agency. It wasn't a great free agency for Tennessee, but Dalton, what is the biggest strength of the Titans right now?
This team's going to try to win in the trenches this year. And when you look at what their interior, their defensive line did, I know we're nitpicking here a little bit, but when you look at Jeffrey Simmons, Tavondre Sweat, and Sebastian Joseph Day, they really did a nice job last year. Second in the NFL in PFF grade, first in run defense grade. Their second round pick from last year, Tavondre Sweat, the big 366-pounder. I was really impressed with him in run defense. Gave you a little bit as a pass rusher, but that's more Jeffrey Simmons' job with Sweat and Joseph Day eating up those gaps in run defense. Simmons can get after the passer then as the complement guy. He can penetrate those lanes. So when you look at three guys, Sweat had the 9th best run defense grade in the NFL last year. Joseph Day was 8th, and Jeffrey Simmons had the third 80-plus PFF grade in his career, was 9th in the NFL as well. You've got guys who know their roles on the inside. The interior of this defensive line in certain matchups is a serious problem to deal with.
And you need those guys too, because that really helps out your linebacker unit, which is kind of the biggest weakness, I would say, of the Titans team right now. So there were 5 linebackers last year in Tennessee who played at least 200 snaps. None of them are on the roster in 2025. In fact, the only one who really has a lot of experience is Cody Barton, but he only had a 64.3 PFF grade last year in Denver. You got James Williams, Otis Reese IV, and Cedric Gray, but all 3 of them have combined to play less than 400 snaps in their career. So a lot of question marks at linebacker. It's not like you brought in highly drafted guys too at linebacker either. At least the defensive line in the interior is going to be good because that can help out the linebackers. If you just open up holes for them in the run game to go and make tackles in the backfield, that does help out a lot. But I still have question marks at linebacker.
Sure, right, and Cody Barton is a pretty solid run defender who really struggles in coverage. But when you look at those other guys, all late-round picks, James Williams just moved to linebacker last year after playing safety at Miami. I mean, he's a big guy. He really looked like a linebacker even when he was playing safety. But, you've got inexperience. You've got a lack of production. If Cody Barton is your best guy in that unit, you start to get a little worried, especially after all these guys coming in from elsewhere or just young players that didn't play much last year. You've got a lack of experience. You've got a lack of continuity. It's really tough to project this unit right now.
So tell me more about the hopeful savior of the Titans franchise, the number one overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, Cam Ward.
He's fearless. He plays with swagger. He's gonna make some tight window throws that even make you a little bit nervous at times, but he's not gonna lack for confidence, right? His vision, there's times, and he's really good at reading defenses. He can see and anticipate, especially zone coverages before they even happen. I think he's a really underrated pre-snap processor, right? When you talk about reading coverages and throwing the ball on time. And that's really the thing for me is that Cam Ward, to me, is actually at his best when he is throwing the ball on time. Some of the highlights are out of the pocket, and he's going to improvise some. He can take off and run a little bit, but I think it's his vision and his confidence throwing into tight windows that are really he's going to have success with. Now, you look at one of the other bigger weaknesses when it comes to the Titans, it's also receiver depth beyond Calvin Ridley. I think we already saw that in their first preseason game, 3 for 3 targeting Ridley, 2 for 5 anywhere else. So I think he's going to have the chemistry with Calvin Ridley, but they got to find some other weapons for him. The one thing you don't want to see from Ward is being reckless with the football, right? I think it was 45 or 46 fumbles in his college career. When he does get outside the pocket, there is some gunslinger to him. There's a little bit of the old Brett Favre, okay, who knows what he's going to do outside the pocket here. He can be dangerous outside the pocket, but there's also times under pressure where he's going to throw back across the field. He's going to be a little loose with the football, low and waiting to find an open option. So ball security is something I'm looking for, but when you talk about attacking vertically down the field, this guy was the best in college football last year. 95.7 passing grade on 10-plus yard targets, led all of college football last season.
Yeah, he was fearless is the perfect word for Cam Ward. He's like kind of like a nonchalant playing style when playing quarterback. You saw in the preseason game a little bit too. I love it, man, honestly. He was, a guy at Washington State who you saw the potential with him. We actually interviewed him when he was at Washington State. He's a really great kid. And he goes to Miami, and you go, okay, he's a boom or bust quarterback. The boom hit. The boom really hit for Cam Ward last year at Miami. Again, he was the best quarterback, in my opinion, in college football last year. Now he's the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft and hopefully the franchise quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, who really need that right now. Dalton, one guy who Cam Ward thinks is a top 4 receiver in the NFL, he's on his Mount Rushmore for receivers, is Calvin Ridley. Don't know if we agree with that here at PFF, but you love the teammate showing support there in Cam Ward. But he's clearly the top pass-catching option in Tennessee right now. Even though the Titans were dead last in passing grade last year, Calvin Ridley still had his 3rd career 1,000-yard season last year and had a really solid 75 receiving grade as well. Really got a good job of separating downfield. He was among the top 25 receivers in both intermediate receiving grade and deep receiving grade last year too. So Calvin Ridley, again, dealt with a pretty bad, in fact, the worst quarterback situation in the NFL last year. Now you got a number 1 overall pick coming in Cam Ward. You even saw in preseason, Cam Ward is looking to Calvin Ridley early and often in that game. He could have another big year in Tennessee.
3rd career 1,000-yard season last year, despite the Titans being dead last in passing grade. And it feels like in that first preseason game, we saw Cam Ward have that chemistry that's needed to win with Calvin Ridley. So I think, again, the weakness is depth, but Ridley is clearly the top option here. And I think if Ward develops as he should throughout this season, Ridley's going to be the big beneficiary of that when it comes to the numbers.
So tell me more. We talked about already their best part of the team is their D tackles. Well, the best part of their D tackle room is Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons has been one of the best in the league for a long time. 380-plus PFF grades in the last 5 years, at least 40 pressures in each of the last 3 seasons. And Max, only 3 defensive tackles last year were in the top 12 of run defense grade and pass rush grade. Jeffrey Simmons, Cameron Hayward, Dexter Lawrence. Simply, like I talked about with DeForest Buckner and the Colts earlier, just for a long time has been one of the best defensive tackles in football. And when I talk about those interior defenders for the Titans, again, you have Joseph Day and Sweat as the run defenders. Jeffrey Simmons is easily their best pass rusher on their entire defensive line, and I think he's going to be that again this year.
Yeah, definitely. All right, the rookie to watch is obviously Cam Ward, but because we broke him down already, the other rookie we're keeping an eye on is Kevin Winston Jr., out of Penn State. So he could have been a first-round pick in the 2025 NFL draft, but he suffered a partially torn ACL at Penn State in the second game of the year, was out for the rest of the season after that, but he was really good in 2023, the year before. 89.2 PFF grade. He did not miss a tackle the entire season. He's very good in coverage too. I loved Kevin Winston Jr. coming out of college. I thought he could have been a first-round pick at safety. The injury kind of killed those hopes, though, last year. But he could make good on that kind of potential, Dalton. In that Titans defense, it kind of needs some help a little bit at safety right now with Amani Hooker and Xavier Woods there. Kevin Winston Jr. as a third-round pick could be a really, really good player for that defense.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good pick to get in the 3rd round. You're talking about a guy with top 50 talent who just wasn't healthy last year. He only appeared in 2 games last season for Penn State. And how about that? We get 2 Penn State Nittany Lions in our 4 rookies to watch here.
Hey, I appreciate that.
There you go. See, that was just for you. But no, Winston, I think, look, this team's got a lot of questions at cornerback, obviously, but it's safety. If Winston is the long-term play that works out here, especially down in the box and helping in run support, you talk about the weakness they have at linebacker. Kevin Winston is a guy who could really help out with that, because when you watched him at Penn State, he basically was an extra linebacker in the box, really good in those curl flat areas down towards the line of scrimmage and coverage too. So I think this is a player we do need to keep an eye on, because the only reason he went in the 3rd round was because of that knee injury.
Yeah, definitely. I think Kevin Winston Jr. could be really good. Other rookies to watch too, Olufemi Oladejo, who they need help at edge rusher. They took him in the 2nd round. Alec Aymaner too, they could have a big year as a 4th-round pick. Jameer DK was a 4th-round pick too. So, yeah, there's a lot of rookies that are you got to watch in Tennessee.
Xavier Restrepo, maybe
potentially
in that mix.
If he makes a team, yeah.
Cam's vouching for him.
He probably is. Yeah,
he was the first guy that he went to the front office and said,
and you had him as a 2nd-round prospect, right? On your board?
Oh,
I know that the speed wasn't great.
I loved him. I think as just a savvy route runner. Look, when you've got a wide open competition at wide receiver, I think Restrepo could absolutely be an Aymaner, like you mentioned, DK, like you mentioned. Yep. You've got a new tight end in Gunnar Helm as well. Yep. I mean, you've got a lot of young pieces you're working with in this receiving core. Just got to figure out who steps up.
The best bet of the year, according to Bet Lindsay, is Ben Lindsay, not Bet Lindsay. Actually, it's a good nickname for him.
Oh, there we go. We might just start going with that.
Yeah, I like that.
Might work.
Accidental, but it might work out.
Ben Bet Lindsay?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
All right, but Cam Ward, Offensive Rookie of the Year at plus 350 right now. For the number 1 overall pick, who is a quarterback, has plus 350 odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year on DraftKings Sportsbook right now. The Titans' offensive line should be stronger this year, brought in guys like Dan Moore and Kevin Zeitler too. And then really a lot of young first-round picks, too, and J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski on that offensive line, too. He's really the only rookie quarterback with a firm hold on the Week 1 starting job right now with Will Levis missing all of the season with an injury, too. So a quarterback has won Offensive Rookie of the Year in 4 of the last 6 seasons. Cam Ward is the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Like Ben said, the only quarterback who's probably going to be starting Week 1 as a rookie, too. We'll see with Tyler Shuck. We'll see with that. But, yeah, I'd love to bet a lot for Tennessee, too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what all of the betting odds are. I think he's second behind Ashton Ginty now. I think the 3 guys that I look at in this Rookie of the Year race are Cam Ward, because like Ben mentioned, that's the only rookie starting quarterback with a firm hold on a job. I'm not sure that Tyler Shuck's going to be starting. Jackson Dart will not be starting the season out with the Giants. Russell Wilson is the starter there. Shedeur Sanders, even if he has a great preseason, is going to be QB2, so he's really the only quarterback likely with a shot. Then you look at some of the other positions, you go, okay, you have Ashton Ginty. Yeah, he's the clear-cut guy in Vegas, right? But Amarion Hampton with the Chargers, got Najee Harris there as well, right? So you're talking about maybe he doesn't get all the carries early on. Receiver, I think Tedero and McMillan is probably the best bet there. Maybe it's one of the tight ends, but very few tight ends.
Travis Hunter, maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe Travis Hunter, if he gets the numbers and he can physically hold up through the whole season. That'll be fun, too, with the two-way factor of how would that work? Well, no, it's split because it's offensive and defensive.
Yeah.
Imagine if he won both.
That's what I'm saying. He's top 5 in odds for both right now.
That's ridiculous. That's
just 4th. Yeah, he's 4th in odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
When you just look at all the other situations,
2nd in Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I think the 2 sleepers I might throw in there. One is Tyler Warren.
Yep.
And the other, they signed J.K. Dobbins, but I still really like what R.J. Harvey could give Denver. But when I have to dig that deep into it, I think I really look at Cam Ward, Ashton Ginty, Tedero, and McMillan as the 3 guys for me.
The 2 clear favorites on DraftKings. So Ginty is plus 275, Cam Ward is plus 350, and then Amarion Hampton is plus 750. So a big drop off from those 2 to the next one.
That makes sense. And even Hampton, again, with Najee Harris there, and now we have the Rashawn Slater injury. Not sure I would go that route, but I get it. Look.
Maybe Travion Henderson.
Quarterbacks are going to get the lean because even last year, there was some arguments that maybe it's Brock Bowers, maybe, even though Jaden Daniels had a great year. Obviously, I would have voted Jaden Daniels, obviously. But, you talk about quarterbacks getting the edge. And if the Titans, even if they win, let's say he plays well enough to win Rookie there. They win 7-8 games. The narrative's going to be in his favor, too.
Yeah, definitely. Like Ben said, 4 of the last 6 Offensive Rookie of the Years have been quarterbacks. So Cam Ward is the number 1 overall pick who will be starting Week 1 in Tennessee. Has a great shot to do it, obviously, for the Titans this year. The over-under for Tennessee this year is set at 6.5 right now. 6.5 is the over-under for Tennessee. You're going over or under 6.5, Dalton, after being the worst team in the NFL last year. What is the bottom line for the Titans?
Yeah, I think they're the one team, unless Cam Ward comes out and has a Jaden Daniels type of rookie year, which I'm not betting on. I think he'll be solid, but I think there's still a lot of flaws with this Titans team. Even with the offensive line more settled than it was last year, there's questions. Dan Moore Jr. is making a whole lot of money at left tackle, but he's never really played like a plus guy. J.C. Latham back on the right side. Lloyd Cushenberry, the center, just got back from injury, so there are still some questions on this offensive line. Beyond Calvin Ridley, right now we have no idea who's going to catch the football for Cam Ward, right? That's strike 2. 3, really good on the interior of the defensive line. Not great off the edge.
Yeah.
We got to figure out who's rushing off of the edge. I got Femi Oladejo. We'll see where that goes, but he's also a converted linebacker who played off the edge mostly in his final season at UCLA.
Harold Landry's gone now, too, yeah.
Harold Landry's gone. Struggles at linebacker potentially. Really need L'Jarius Sneed to come back healthy at corner. I have a lot more questions than answers about this team. I'm going under that total.
Yeah.
If Cam Ward plays at a Rookie of the Year type level, that's really the one way they can go over. But I just think there's still a lot of flaws on this team. They need another year or 2 to develop. This year, to me, is really more so about Cam Ward's development.
Yeah.
Even if they win 5 games, but he's out there and for the most part he looks the part, then it's going to be a successful season. This is a developmental year in Tennessee. They were the worst team in football last year. I'm not expecting a Washington Commanders type of jump out of this team.
No, I don't think Cam Ward will be enough to go from 3-14 to 7-10. I think it's possible they win maybe 7 or 8 games, but I'm going to go under too. I think more a 6-11 type of year, 5-12 type of year is probably what's going to happen for Tennessee this year as they develop all of these youngsters they brought in, right? It's a big rookie class coming in for Tennessee. They need to develop those guys right now. So I think a 6-11 type of year is what I'm expecting for Tennessee.
And like we mentioned with Jacksonville, tough schedule. AFC West, NFC West. Obviously, again, Houston twice in their own division. There's some last place teams in their schedule, but I think when you just look at this team, they're not there, especially in an absolutely loaded AFC with so many teams that we feel like are constants. I think they just need to continue to develop. You just want Cam Ward to go out there and look the part.
Definitely.